So the guy actually, the guy that got me started in powerlifting was a bench only guy. He followed all Louis stuff, so I went from the beginning. It was conjugate, jumped right into it. I didn't understand it at that point, and I made some really good gains, but it came to the point where he didn't understand it well enough, and I was still too new, and I didn't understand it, that I kind of lost some traction. And he was kind of towards the end of his career, so he didn't really have a reason to change too much. All of his stuff was going to be pretty cut and dry as far as what he was going to do week in and week out. So I got away from that. I had a bad meet. I got away from it. I started training, just did some high volume stuff, some volume and then peak and then, things like that. And that worked for me for a couple years, kind of plateaued again. So started asking around, talked to Dave, talked to Matt Wenning, talked to, some of the guys on the team. And Matt kind of steered me back toward conjugate. And it definitely, it's helped. I've hit PRs after hitting PR squats, which can be a tough thing. Some guys will have trouble hitting their best. Like my deadlift, I can't hit my best deadlifts after heavy squats, so I need to work on that. But as far as bench, yeah, I went back to conjugate and still feeling my way through it. It's a puzzle. As a 400-pound bencher, you can get as you get stronger, you get away with fewer and fewer mistakes. You're putting yourself in harm's way more often, even training at the same percentages you're training at higher weights. So it's, again, you're putting yourself in tougher positions. But the volume aspect, I can get away with higher volume on bench days, on upper days. I always seem to recover pretty well from that. So I've kept that. I'll always hit high dumbbell work, so hit 2 sets of 20, and where I'm failing at the 20th rep almost every time, and that doesn't seem to hurt me too much. I'm still playing with what I need to do with my tricep work. Dave showed me a couple. I need to throw in some lying tricep extensions, need to throw in some quarter dips, because my pecs and my delts are taking over everything, and I'm not getting the tricep development that I need for a bigger bench. So it's that's come to light in the last couple, in the last month or so. So figuring that out. It's the same as upper back, middle back for a power lifter. It's not strong enough. It's never strong enough. I don't think your triceps can be too strong. So in that sense, yeah, I would say, even with that being said, it's probably my pecs and my rear delts are overdeveloped compared to my triceps, and I think that's holding me back at this point. I don't know. I overhead pressed like through high school, through college. I got away from it at the beginning of like 5 years ago when I first started powerlifting as a sport. So I probably got some of the early development that way. Just you throw on a plate or 2 plates, and you overhead press it as much as you can, and that's how you train when you're younger, and you're going to get stronger, assuming that you're working hard and recovering. But I haven't targeted those areas, at least on purpose. So I can't say that. I don't know why it's ended up that way. It probably genetics. I don't know. So as far as speed bench, Dave and I actually had this conversation last weekend, 2 weeks ago, and actually Steve Goggins brought it up too. And Steve's not a world record bench presser, but Steve knows how to bench, and Steve knows how to program and do all the he's a great coach. Long story short, so I agreed with both of them that I'm going to cut out speed bench the last 4 or 5 weeks of my training going into this cycle. I feel like I've always been fast, so I don't necessarily think I need speed. At least, rather have myself recover the last 4 or 5 weeks than get in the extra speed work. So, and my speed work might even change before then. It might be more of a rep day, or don't even touch a barbell. Just grab some dumbbells and things like that. So, like I said, still feeling that out. Especially, it's interesting that you guys wanted to do this at this point, because I kind of started to overhaul everything going into the meet. Yeah, so I still like to bench with just straight weight, no accommodating resistance, stuff like that, just to, I like getting back to just the competition style lift. So I'll do that for doubles, or not real high reps, but I'll still get the volume in. So 3, 4, 5 sets of doubles at, 80 to 90%. As far as max effort work, I'll still do, I won't necessarily rotate bars, but I'll definitely rotate exercises. I'll throw in floor press against chains. I'll throw in, I'll bench against bands and chains. I mean, it's pretty, like I said, I don't get too crazy with the max effort stuff on benching. Earlier in the cycle, I will do a max effort, but I'll hit basically triples the whole. If it's a 12-week cycle, the first 6 weeks I'll hit triples. I won't do a single max effort movement. And then going into the last 6 weeks, that's when I'll start to do singles and try to push the weights a little bit. So it's almost like like I said, I'm getting a lot of volume in early and kind of tapering off towards the end of the cycle. Like every lifter starts, you lay down and you bench, right? You grab it, and it's a simple movement, but once you start to get stronger at it, it becomes a lot less simple and a lot more technical. Leg drive has been one of the big things, which I actually learned from Chad Akes when I came out to learn to train. He tweaked my foot placement and changed a couple things, and that was the first day I benched 500. So, it obviously has a pretty good effect, at least for my bench. In the last few months, I feel like I've gotten away from that. So that's one thing I'm trying to get back to is figuring out where exactly my feet need to be and how to get the most out of my leg drive. As far as learning to bench, learn to use your back instead of doing a negative. You see a lot of people, they'll warm up, they get to an 80, 90%, and the bar speed on the eccentric slows down because they're thinking about it. They're using their pecs, their delts, their triceps to slow that weight down instead of engaging the lats, trying to bend the bar in your hands and bring the bar down using your back. That was one of the things I learned from Matt also. You only get so much time under tension, so why waste that on your eccentric? You're gonna you blow your load early on in the bench, and you don't even get to press it. So those were a couple things. I think a lot of people, and I probably did it at some point and didn't recognize it, but a lot of people will bench with the bar behind their elbow. So learning to again put torque into the bar and get your knuckles up is another thing that took some practice. That's about all I can think of, though. Yeah, so for any lifters that miss off their chest, to me I think speed work is good. I think it has its place. I think there are other ways to go about it too, because just doing speed work, in my opinion, isn't enough, especially if the person's already not fast. You need to elicit a response. Sometimes somebody's going to lay down and do speed work and do everything the right way and follow the right percentages, and it's still not going to make that much of a difference. I think you probably need to put on more muscle mass, so a lot of dumbbell work. Like I said, I'll do 2 sets of 20 at a high rate of exertion. I'll do 4 sets of 15. I'll do a ton of stuff to build muscle, where your pecs are really driving the bar off your chest and the bottom of the bench. Some other things, like a spoto press, where you're stopping, an inch or two off your chest, learning to absorb that force. That can be another really good one. That's really all I've used, especially even with some of the guys that I'm training, and it seems like it's had a good effect. So I haven't had to dive into too many other things, but again, everything works for a while and then it stops working. So we'll have to revisit that.